Hello and welcome, Rangers. I'm Joe here from my co-host Dan. Hello and greetings. And we now get to one of the most ethereal, moving, and interesting scenes in the entire movie. This is in part one of the scenes that was the reason I wanted to do this shot-for-shot analysis podcast. This is one of those scenes which captured my attention as a child and held it. And, I just found you kind of stare long and hard at it, trying to put all the pieces together. Now, for one thing, we have in this scene with Dulcea, the Rangers lined up. Now, this is an ancient Ninjetti shrine that's fallen into disrepair. Dulcea doesn't seem willing to rebuild it. I imagine she probably has the time to do it. It's just a matter of she's not really interested. All the necessary parts are in place and still standing, so there's no point. I don't know if she really cares about the rain. Can she even get sick? She's not human. She's probably closer to some sort of angelic being, rather like Athena in the Greek myths in some ways, if you apply the Tolkienian way of looking at things. Kind of like with the Valar from The Lord of the Rings and Silmarillion. Now, if you pay attention, you'll notice that Tommy's to the leftmost side with Adam next to him. Now, we've already established in terms of color symbology of Power Rangers, black is the male energy, white is the divine energy. Kimberly, the Pink Ranger, is right in the center alongside Billy. So Kimberly represents femininity because no female, black is not a color that any female character could actually wield, just as no male character can wield pink. This is just the way it is, male and female energy. And of course, you have divine energy right next to them. Billy has blue, which is wisdom. Rocky has red, which is basically passion. And you have the more maternal, the kind of more mature feminine energy. But it's also the maternal energy. But when put with a male character, it seems like it's more a paternalistic energy. So yellow's a very parental energy in terms of the Power Rangers. So if we look at it from that perspective, you have from right to left this interesting order of things. Now, Dulcea will end up approaching Aisha later first. So she approaches the parental energy. If you actually think about it, it's almost like going to the parent for permission first, and then addressing the embodiment of passion, which is to say, Rocky, and then approaching wisdom, and then, the female energy, then the male energy, and then the divine energy. In a lot of ways, in terms of energy, if we look at it, it's a bit of like, divine is obviously the most important. But at either end, you have almost the two most important energies. You have the fully matured energies of a parent, but you also have at the other end a divine energy. So, that's the thing. Like, you've got a very interesting thing and going on there. And Dulcea's bikini is green. So in a way, she's taking on the role of, yes, Athena, but also the green energy in a way. But when she addresses them, she also tells them to call upon their innermost animal spirit, and that every single one of them has an inner energy they've yet to tap into that is the source of a great deal of power for them. In a way, she's calling upon them to harken back to their greatest strengths. And we know Aisha's the bear, Rocky's the ape. Billy's the wolf. Kimberly's the crane. You have Adam, who's the frog, and you have Tommy, who's the falcon. Now, if you look at things from also a symbolic perspective of animal to human, there's something interesting going on also with the color and the animal interacting with each other in a way. We'll start with Aisha, because right to the left. Aisha has the bear. She has the yellow energy. Let's be honest. This is basically Mama Bear. They couldn't bludgeon the point more than if they called her Mama Bear. And to be honest, in a lot of ways, she's the one who talks in a corny manner already. Like, she talks like she's already a mom. And it's like, she was middle-aged when she was already a teen. I'm just being honest. You then get Rocky. Now, the ape. We know people often associate apes with humans in some cases. And passion and all. This one doesn't necessitate too much thought. Man is passionate. That's the simple point.
People often assume apes are dumb, but they're far more clever and intelligent than we give them credit for. And Rocky's the same way.
I guess. I didn't really think of it that way. The real clever one is Billy. But here's the thing. In Brother Bear, what is the animal spirit of wisdom? The wolf. So, and blue is the color of wisdom in Power Rangers. I know there's knowledge in there, but it's primarily wisdom, both in the classical and modern sense. In the classical sense, it means knowledge. In the modern sense, it means to think with your heart and your head, and to have good judgment. Billy has all these attributes. As for the wolf, it's a dangerous animal, but it's a very wise animal. It's very intelligent. It does carry with it a lot of knowledge. So, to associate Billy with the color of wisdom and with the wolf, it could not be plainer. And this is in some ways the best fit. Then you get Kimberly with the crane. Now, cranes are interesting animals that ironically have a variety of meanings. They mean longevity, good fortune, and happiness, which I wish these people had learned that. Because Zeo and all kind of made it so that nope, not happening, which is a little funny. In some cultures, they represent nobility, grace, and wisdom, and even have links to immortality and the divine. Okay, but the thing is, I'd say nobility, grace, yeah, Kim's got those attributes. Wisdom, I'm actually going to disagree and say she's not a very wise person by nature. She tends to be impulsive and even foolish, and even, I dare say, immature. But as for a connection with the divine, certainly, she was the original main character. She should be kind of touching the divine, so to speak. There should be a connection and a growth towards some sort of stronger bond with the divine. Now, there's also in Japan the association with peace, hope, and healing. And healing, okay, this she does for a number of rangers and for herself. But then they deconstructed and subverted this theme in that one letter episode, which was a very, in hindsight, from a storytelling perspective, bad move. As for peace and hope, certainly that's her job as a Power Ranger. But, well, actually more of the hope part. But peace can be associated with inner peace. And it's one of those things which it works. Although she's basically striving towards that. Now, pink being the female energy. Yeah. Honestly, this is a combination that does work. And then you get the male energy and a frog. We all know the folktale of kissing a frog and you get a prince. I know Dulcea is going to mention that, but this is where I think, yeah, okay. But in a way, that's the story of Adam. For one thing, he bears the name of Adam from the Bible, the first man of the Adamite race. So, that's a very potent name there. But there's also the fact that Adam as a character is someone whom he starts off, he's not all that impressive as a person. Like, he's shy, more so than Billy ever was. He's vulnerable. He might be a better martial artist than Billy was at the start, but he's not exactly an impressive individual. He lacks confidence and charisma. But then by the time of Turbo, you see a man who's kind of come into his own. He's charismatic, fierce, and actually pretty cool as an individual. And you look at him in the In Space series, when he cameos in there, honestly, he could have tanked most of the Psycho Rangers, I imagine. They should have actually maybe kicked out half the team and just brought him back. And I'm serious there. And just used their morphers to power him up. Because he's that great. And that's the thing. In a way, though, given his romance with Tanya, one could argue, in a way, he did just need a woman's love in order to bloom and come into his own. Because he had plenty of friends, but he never seemed to bloom. It's not till someone falls in love with him that we get this kind of arc. Then we get Tommy. Yeah. Falcons are often associated with royalty. They're also, how do I put it? They're also, now this is hinting at the Zeo arc, I would argue, in a way, if they had planned anything, because Falcons are also associated with spiritual awareness. They're also animals that represent victory, of course, and freedom, and they represent courage, strength, and wisdom as well. And this is obviously very important. Now, the courage front, Tommy obviously embodied it. Strength, oh yes. Freedom, I'll actually say, yeah. This is actually a major characteristic of Tommy. And victory, he is the ranger who tends to secure victory the most against all odds. And on top of that, there's the strong connection with the divine, which, the white energy is the greatest of the Power Rangers because it's the purest. And it is the divine one. There's a reason there's that scene with Tommy descending from what seems like the stars to stand before the Rangers and become their leader. It's a very angelic vision, and it's supposed to be. But we have in this scene the first association with Tommy and the Falcon side of things, so that it's just reinforcing the divine connection and connotations. In all, I actually think that they chose the Ninjetti animals quite well. It's only a shame that the Ninjetti animals don't really play a larger role in the series, and that this is never really referenced after a certain point. And I actually think as well that just having them say like Black Ranger energy or whatever was a really bad morphing call idea, where it should have been something like, a black frog, yellow bear or something, or the bear, the frog, the ape, whatever. Have them do their Ninjetti cries. Don't have them, you know what I mean? Saying White Ranger energy, because it just didn't work. But yeah, so we've run over time. Next time we're going to go into a bit more detail on what Dulcea says to the different Rangers. Because why not? And remember, Rangers, may the power protect you.